At Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. All right, everybody. Are you ready to take control of your construction business? Are you ready to compare and contrast offshore versus onshore BIM service models for offsite construction success? Welcome, everybody, to Dave Cooper Live, where we showcase the people, the products, and the processes to help us all build it better. And before we jump into this, we need to thank our incredible team at Cobalt Creed for their support in helping us deliver trusted content that educates, informs industry leaders so they can take actionable steps to build it better. Okay, well, without further ado, we're going to hop into this one, and we're going to find out if offshore BIM services is the right choice for you. So let's welcome Venkat Barusu to the show. Venkat, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Dave. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been an absolute privilege, and I'm really, really honored to be on this show because you're such a popular man, and everybody gets to hear you when it comes to offsite construction. So really, from BIM team, from UBC BIM, we're really privileged to be on your show.
Well, I thank you so much for that. It's been a pleasure meeting you and some of your team in Florida, right? We were at Steel Horizons. Venkat and I caught up there, and I started learning about all the services that you and your team do for the offsite construction industry, not just here in the United States, but from around the world. And you have an offshore team, and I was like, you know what? There's so many people trying to figure this out. And here you are working with some of the biggest players in our industry. And I didn't even know about you. So shame on me. But I think other people need to know about you. But before we get into UBC BIM and exactly what it is you do, I really, truly want to learn a little bit about you. In fact, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or we're going to have your kids on the show. And I know they're here in the States at college, and they will throw you under the bus, my friend. So you better tell us all, and then we'll hop into UBC BIM. Go for it.
Definitely. Hopefully, I don't have a whole lifetime to tell about myself on this show, but in the short period that I'll tell about myself, I'm born in India in a small town, did my mechanical engineering degree, and worked for a steam turbine manufacturing firm, and then worked in supply chain. And then, fate brought me to the United States, worked for Corning Incorporated. It's a glass manufacturing company. I worked for them in the business process reengineering, manufacturing, and IT technologies as a strategy leader. And then in 2010, I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, pursue my dreams, and picked the bags, and then came back to India and established my construction business. It's been almost 13, 14 years now. Did a fairly good amount of work in India. And then in 2017, being a technology guy, I was exploring more technology side of the stuff on the construction business, and did a lot of research, traveled quite a bit around China and New Zealand and so many other things, and finally stumbled upon Havik through a good friend of mine who is from South Africa, and really loved the technology. And then I wanted to bring that to India to actually help our construction business here. And in the process of that, we've learned that there is purchasing the machine was the easiest part, or the simplest part in the entire offsite construction. The real complexity was in the building information modeling and creating the digital twin, and then working through the entire process of simulation and making sure that the whole building is built even before it goes to the factory floor. And that's when we realized there's a bigger piece to the puzzle. It's just not taking the stuff into a factory and then just churning things out. And then we talked to Vertex at that point in time, Vertex BD, and then they kind of trained us on how to really create this whole process of BIM, and then walked us through it. And then eventually they were the ones that came back to us and said, hey, you seem to understand these international delivery models. You worked in global organizations and worked in so many different countries. Why don't you provide services to our clients? And that's when the light bulb went on. And from manufacturing setup to building information modeling services companies, how we've transitioned to. And ever since, we've been, it's been a fairly good growth. We started with 4 people in 2019, and today we're about 85 people and serving about 12 different countries and close to 100 clients in different places. And it's been growing well. And as you rightly said, the Steel Horizons conversation really kicked this thing off, where there is so much an organization needs to really learn and understand whether an offshore services is right for them, or what kind of a right sourcing model is right for the organization, given the complexities and then the costs involved and the capital cost, and all of that is involved in offshore services, or businesses, if you may say.
Yeah, and we're going to jump right into all of this. So if you're just joining us, we're going to talk about offshore services and how you can even save up to 50% on your engineering and BIM manufacturing costs, and a lot more than just that. But first, we need to have a word from these sponsors. So don't go anywhere. That was just the teaser, because you're going to learn a whole lot about what you can do offshore. CombiLift is the largest global manufacturer of multi-directional forklifts and straddle carriers, a leader in long load handling solutions, offering a free warehouse and site optimization design service. CombiLift helps companies of all sizes and from every industry maximize the capacity, safety, and efficiency of their warehouse and storage facilities. A big thank you to Paul Short and the team at CombiLift for helping us all to build it better. Visit them at combilift.com. Ready to scale up your offsite construction business? Introducing 4A Constructs, your solution to finding skilled labor for offsite manufacturing. Say goodbye to the headache of recruiting a skilled workforce with hand-selected certified tradesmen that are expertly trained and managed for offsite manufacturing, set crews, and finish crews, ensuring maximum productivity and safety. Unlock the future of skilled workforce development for all of your offsite construction needs. Visit them at 4aconstructs.com. All right. Thank you to the sponsors. All right, Venkat. Now we're going to get into the juice, right? We're going to figure out how you can save all of these incredible manufacturers out there and even designers, engineers, and architects a ton of time. And time translates into money, as we all know. But also, you have such a skilled team. Let's hop into it. I'm going to put your presentation up on the screen. Walk us through everything that you guys do at UBC BIM.
Yep, definitely. So, I mean, thank you again. And so basically what we're trying to address here is, this is more of a, as we discussed, we wanted to bring in an educational kind of a material out for folks that are out there that are looking for offshore services. You know, how do you really choose a good offshore service partner for yourself? And how do you invest into that so that in a long term, you really get the benefit of it rather than looking at a short term, you know, cost advantage kind of a thing, rather than making it a strategic part of your delivery model for the offsite construction services. So, you know, the questions that, or the challenges that we generally ask are you looking to bring down your bid to BIM team service cost by 50%? You know, you've just set up a manufacturing facility, got your machines delivered, thinking of setting up offsite manufacturing. So do you know the important things that make you successful at this endeavor? Because we learned it firsthand, you know, when we got our machine, because we just, you know, we're stuck with the machine. We didn't know how to feed a BIM model into that. And then due to increased labor cost and consistent quality delivery challenges and increased demand to delivery and faster and other challenges with traditional construction, offsite construction is a viable alternative, as we all know. But does it come with its own set of challenges? And is offsite cure it all? You know, how do you really leverage that? And then are you struggling to find success with sourcing the BIM team services in-house versus outsource versus offshore? You know, what are the challenges that you're facing with it? Because every time I talk to somebody, they have tried and there are challenges, and they, you know, some people have brought it back, or they're trying to, you know, figure out how to make it better, these models. So, you know, why the need for these different service models in offsite construction, you know, a delivery model is what we're going to be discussing in this show.
Great.
Right. So, you know, just a quick recap for folks that, you know, probably are not aware of traditional construction methods versus offsite construction. You know, traditional construction, you know, design and the engineering is done by architects and engineers. Once you get the permits, everything moves to the site. You move all the materials, you know, everything to the site, and then you start fabricating the wall panels and trusses. Everything gets fabricated on site. And then there could be material theft, there could be debris, wastage, you know, weather challenges. You can't construct in all kinds of weathers. And then, you know, lack of consistent quality delivery because everything is, you know, done on site. And then the biggest challenge that everybody is facing today, increased labor cost and scarcity of labor, right? So these are all the typical challenges that are, you know, traditional construction methods are, you know, posing to the construction world, and that's why this whole offsite, you know, construction methods have actually come into the picture. So bottom line, project cost, off budget, delivery deadlines unpredictable, inconsistent quality output. Some of the impacts, you know, because of that. And then, you know, come to the offsite construction elements. You know, bring everything back into a factory, right? In an offsite model. What you're doing is you're actually doing a digital twin. You're creating a BIM model on a computer. You're simulating it, and then you're actually taking it to a factory floor, producing all the walls, you know, trusses, everything. And then sometimes they're even going to the modular construction where you actually finish the building or semi-finish the building and then take them to the site and then install them in a volumetric models. So with that, the challenges that come on this side is, you know, it's capital cost to set up a factory, and then the building information modeling tools. That is the real complexity for a traditional builder. You know, if you think about it, because generally they're not that tech savvy, and suddenly you're making them, you know, a technologist they have to be a technologist to be able to understand what the BIM engineer that is sitting in their office is speaking about. Sometimes they talk about software bugs. Sometimes they talk about, this BIM tool is not working, it's crashing, I can't deliver it. So these are all certainly something, some new terminologies that they need to deal with. And then the computers, and then the software licenses associated with it. And then so how do you handle this whole part? And then on top of it, these BIM resources are not cheap. I mean, they're fairly expensive engineers that are engineers, and then they also understand the software technology. And these costly resources, most of the time it's very difficult for a smaller to mid-sized organization to fully load them for a full year. So they're basically sitting with these resources, for 3 to 4 months of work or 5 months of work, and then the rest of the time they're trying to figure out what do they need to do, because the project is already designed and they're actually installing it on site. During that time, there's not much work for these folks. So, do you really have full-time work for these BIM engineers and training them on new technologies continuously and new ways of doing things, and then retaining these resources? Those are the typical challenges that the offsite construction brings to the table. And then, this is what we just spoke about: architecture, engineering, and then digital twin, and then offsite manufacturing, and then you install it on site. That's the overall process for the offsite construction, right? So we just talked about traditional versus offsite construction. So in terms of the coming right into the real topic of the hour, the offshore versus the typical sourcing model, right? There are 3 types of models that we see. One is in-house, which is definitely the most comfortable one for anybody. And there is the onshore, which is within the country using consulting resources. And the third model, which is the offshore model, right? So these are the 3 typical models that are available for any given organization. So each model comes with advantages and associated challenges with it. So if you look at it, so if you look at the in-house model, basically the advantage with that is you got full control over the delivery schedules. And then you have physical proximity, allows the immediate interaction. So you can just walk over to the resource and say, hey, where's my BIM model? When are we going to have it? So you have full control over it. And then there's no time lag in communication, direct oversight over the quality and progress of it. That's the advantages with the in-house resources. And the challenges associated with that are fixed costs, add financial inflexibility, basically, because you have to have these resources on your payroll, and you have to make sure that these resources are fully loaded with work. And then second thing is, generally sometimes projects kick off, also sometimes get delayed. So what do you do during those times? These resources are sitting there, and if the project, for financial closures or whatever is the reason, the project gets delayed, you're carrying this fixed cost on your books. And then maintaining resource utilization and engagement is difficult with having resources that are not fully loaded. And then the other biggest thing that we see from having an in-house resource is the limited knowledge and the value engineering within the in-house team, because what happens is they only get to work on 1 or 2 projects that the company is doing. Let's say they're doing a multifamily project or a single family home project for that year. So the exposure that these resources are going to get is going to be limited to those 2 projects. And the engineers that are working on it, they don't get the knowledge of working on lots of other projects that are happening around the world, unless they go for some training and any exhibitions or other avenues of learning how other people are doing it. And then you have to also carry the high software license cost. I mean, licenses are pretty expensive these days. And then also builders may require upskilling in new tools and technologies. These are the general challenges that people face when they bring these resources and having them in-house. And that's what we generally hear. How do we deal with all of these things? Because we have these resources in-house, but I got these advantages, but I also face with these challenges. And then the second model is outsource within the country, like an onshore, like a consulting resource. The advantages with that is costs can be expensed instead of fixed, right? You bring a consultant when you got the project kicked off. You don't need to hire a resource until you have the ready to shovel or ready to engineer or ready to once the financial closure is done, that's when you can actually bring a consultant on. You don't need to keep them on. And then no need to manage the hiring and retention and HR overheads. And then access to diverse experience from consultants working across various projects. So let's say, for example, if you're hiring a consultant, he might be working on a single family today, and then tomorrow a multifamily project, or day after tomorrow a hotel project. So they get the experience of varied different projects experience, as well as working with different engineers and architects. So that knowledge, they'll be bringing it over to you so that they can give you a better value engineered product for you. And then scalability in terms of team size with minimal delays. You can just add resources as and when you need, and you can actually scale it down when you really don't need it. So that's the flexibility that you get when you go with an outsource onshore model. But the challenges with that is the cost is going to be a little higher, because when you hire a consultant, you'll be definitely paying more money onshore versus a full-time employee. That's a pretty straightforward thing. And then guaranteed contract periods may increase expense, because if you say, I'm going to hire you for a whole year versus I'm only going to hire you for 3 months, there's going to be definitely a cost difference, and shorter periods are definitely going to cost you more. And then obviously the cost of the office space and resources may still apply if consultants are going to come on site. And then difficulty in finding reliable and cost-effective consultants, sometimes is a challenge, but that's something that you need to deal with. With good references, definitely there'll be good consultants that'll come. But sometimes it becomes really difficult when you're really in a tight project timeline. And then the third model, which is the really important thing that we want to really discuss today, is outsource to an offshore partner, right? So that's the advantages of that is access to global talent at competitive rates. So definitely the pricing is very attractive when you look at offshore models. And then significant cost savings on labor and resources, and flexibility to scale operations as needed. So definitely you'll get the flexibility of what you get with the consulting resources, and reduced overheads like IT, office space and IT infrastructure and all that, because you really don't need any of that, because the offshore person is going to have the computers and office space, everything in their facility rather than your office. But that also comes with certain challenges. This offshore model. One of the biggest things that we hear most of the time from our clients and our partners is the time zone differences may delay the communication and collaboration. Let's say between India and the US, there is a 10 to 12 hours lag. And so when you send a communication, you may hear it only after 12 hours. So you're waiting for a whole day, and then only next day morning you may get the communication. So those are you lose time in those kind of scenarios. And then the quality control may require additional oversight and processes. This is one single biggest thing that we hear from most of our clients, is the amount of back and forth that we have to go to get a project done between an offshore partner and us is sometimes it makes it like, it's better to just bring it back, because there's so many times things are going, they're not understanding it correctly, or even if they understand it, what they're doing it versus how, our standards and our methodologies and the ways of doing, because every individual builder or the contractor, they have a certain methods and their crews are comfortable doing certain things uniquely to themselves. So, those standards need to be communicated to the offshore team so that they can really incorporate them into the BIM model. So that is one of the topmost thing that comes back to us, saying that how do you ensure that with minimal back and forth, we can get a good quality product back from them. And then language and cultural differences may impact workflow and understanding. And then dependency on remote collaboration tools, which may present challenges. So, all the associated challenges, political situations and other situations also may impact your, the overall delivery. So I'm going to take a quick pause here because we've kind of shared a lot of information here. And so the question here is, what's the right mix, right? You're on in-house consulting, onshore versus offshore. So what's the right mix depending on the size of the organization, so that you get the best of the both worlds in terms of cost saving and getting the quality product on time. So basically, and I would like to take a pause and let you ask any questions or pose anything.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, I think the biggest question that I have is, with offshore, it sounds like it has a lot of the bigger challenges to get over versus using onshore versus using consulting or hiring in-house, right? That's really what I want to understand, right? Because you guys are in the offshore business of how you do this. How do you overcome all those hurdles or objections or challenges so people here that want to use your services truly understand that value? And do you do onshore as well? Do you do in-state onshore, or is everything offshore with what you're doing? I agree with everything you said, right? You don't get the experience when you hire somebody directly. They only may work on single family projects, and all of a sudden you get a big job and they don't have a clue how to do a commercial building. So I understand that. You maybe can explain to us how your team functions and how they're able to go from job to job to job or with different clients. I think it's going to be a very telling conversation, but I haven't heard too many positives for the offshore yet, and I want to hear that side of it, because I think that's really where you success. You excel.
Yeah, I think because of the complexity involved in it, and I think that's where companies like us, who really work on the process and the methodology, are the ones that are really going to be successful. And then the rest of the stories that you hear are, not so good or successful stories that are out there. So. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for that. And then I'll walk you through what UBC has done, in terms of figuring out how we can bring the best of the both, the onshore communication and the process and that comfort, and then also bring the cost advantages of the offshore. So it's the marriage of the both sides, and then bring the best out to the clients. And that's how we've been very successful at retaining clients, and then making sure that they are constantly able to do more and more work. So one of the things that I'm going to really talk through is this particular slide, where the puzzle that we were able to solve is there are three intangibles that we were really able to solve, and that's what actually made it much more, on how we were able to make it successful, right? So the constructability knowledge, that's the single most thing that is extremely important for a BIM model to be really successful in an offsite model, because once you bring everything to the site, there is nothing that you can do there. Everything should be, fairly set in such a way that it can be installed on site without too much difficulty. So having that knowledge incorporated into the model is the most important thing. And how do we get that knowledge into the BIM model for every project, every unique project of every client that is out there? Because every client is so unique to themselves. The way they do the engineering, the way they do, let's say, K-bracing. Some people don't use K-bracing, some people use X-bracing, some people don't use bracing at all. So different types of methodologies. There is an art to the whole offsite construction. As much as there is engineering to it, there's a piece of it that is the art, which actually is the constructability knowledge. And for that, what we've done is, very early on, we were not that successful. So what we've done is, how do we bring this, knowledge of this customer to our team in the shortest amount of, possible time? So we came up with a process called our checklist process. It's an extensive process. So when a new customer comes on board, we go through almost like a 1 week of orientation with their engineers, their architects, and the promoter himself. And then actually we fill almost like a 20 to 30 page long checklist to really, really understand, how each one of their pieces are done today, so that we get that knowledge into our team, and that team is really trained, well to the tune, to the way this particular customer does the things. And that's one of the very key important things that we bring to the table from UBC perspective. So we ensure that one of our benchmarks and our metrics that we do is there should be no more than 2 iterations of reviews. So the client sends a project to us, fills this checklist, and then the team goes off and does the modeling and detailing and whatever the work that needs to be done, and then sends it to the client for verification. Client verifies it according to the checklist that is signed off between the client and then the team for that specific project. And then any markups we get back, and then we review them and then incorporate them into the final model, and it should be done. That's how crisp we've made that process. And if it is anything that is beyond that, 99% of the times it is a change order. It will not be what we agreed to in the original process that was signed off. So that's one key important thing that any client that is looking to for a capability in an offshore service provider, they should seriously look for how exactly are you going to minimize the back and forth. That's number one. And number two that we've done is the amount of multiple softwares and then the multiple machines that clients have. We have clients who own a FrameCAD machine and a Chinese XHS machine and some other machine. There are like 3 different machines that they have, and they have like 2 different softwares, MWF StructSoft or Vertex or FrameCAD software. I mean, so many combinations that are out there. And what we bring to the table is we actually remove all that complexity out of the table, and the client just needs to pick a software and pick a machine. We give the solution because we have people that are trained on each one of those softwares, and then we can produce CNC machine files for all of these machines that are listed on the right hand side. So you just pick the permutation and the combination, you give us what you want, and then we just work on it. So we take the complexity out of the equation for the client. If a client, there's one client that we have, Offsite K in Charlotte, and they are big on MWF, and they've got a FrameCAD machine, and then they've got a couple of Chinese machines, and then they've got another machine that uses AMS controls, and the complexity is quite big, and the cost of having to retain all these resources and keep them is fairly expensive. And then we came on board, and then we only they only work on it when a project is kicked off. So they don't need to spend any money unless the project is kicked off, and they don't need to worry about training these resources and then keep on updating them, because our resources basically work on so many different projects all around the world. We have clients all around the world, about 12 different countries, and we get to work with so many different engineers. That knowledge is what we bring to the table, and then we use that knowledge as a value engineering to the client. So your price is less when you come to us. At the same time, you get a better value engineered product from us. So you actually get double the benefit, because we are actually bringing the knowledge from the other side. And then the third point that that we bring to the table is we have an onshore support model also, from a marketing and communication, and the customer engagement side is all done onshore. With the folks that are in those different countries. We have partners that work in Australia. We have partners that work in the Middle East and Israel, and then we have partners that work in South America. Obviously, America is a big market for us, and we have partners that work in Australia. They are the ones that actually interact with the client and engage with the client and get the information. Make sure that that time lag, as well as not understanding what the client says, it's not 100% translated back to the office in India, where we have our back office. So that that's kind of the challenge is taken off, because there is a face that the customers can put to, and then we take care of that. And obviously the other things are generally the ones that you get with any offshore provider is the fastest response time, and we work in 3 different shifts. And we follow the sun model, so 24/7 somebody is available. And then one of our USPs is fastest turnaround time. Generally, a single-family home that takes weeks and months in the US, let's say for example, we do it in 48 to 72 hours. That's our metric. We measure our delivery schedules by looking at, okay, customers say signed off. The deposit has come in, and then the project kicked off. So we actually put a time limit, like by square feet of the project and the complexity of the project, we give a deadline, and then that deadline has to be met by the team. That's one of the metrics that we really make sure that we benchmark. In addition to the number of back and forths, we limit them to 2, and then we try to finish the project in 48 to 72 hours. Even a permit set, we give it in 48 hours. We clocked it last time with one of our clients in the US, where they were taking like a month and a half or so to get a permit set drawn, and we were able to produce it in like less than 72 hours and give a lot specific permit set to the client. And the other advantages that you get with us. So that's how we are able to overcome the typical offshore challenges, so that the client gets the benefit of the best of the both worlds. And then obviously me working in the US for almost like 10, 11 years, and then working with so many global manufacturing facilities, having an understanding of the global service delivery models, and that really helps. That makes UBC positions as in a unique position, so that client really doesn't feel the difference that he's working with an offshore service provider when they talk to me and my team. They think that our communication and our language and all the cultural things that we bring to the table, they feel like they're really talking to somebody that is sitting in the Eastern time zone.
So I mean, that's the interesting part, right? When I think and I'm going to go on culture here just a little bit. We think about residential homes. Residential homes change every 50 miles in the United States, right? What you're building in Arizona is much different than what you're building in upstate New York, where you used to live, right? So how do you, when you're doing design and you're trying to work with an American, design firm here or offsite manufacturer here, how do they start embracing that culture and understanding those design nuances that change every 50 miles here in the States?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, that 1 week of orientation process where we actually develop a checklist for that specific client. I mean, generally, because we've been in this business for more than, almost like 6 years now, the team actually has a general understanding of how things are done in each one of these countries, the architectural studies and all of that. But what we specifically do for that specific client, to your point, it's different every 50 miles, is in that first 1 week of orientation, we also do video walkthroughs of how the client actually does it and their manufacturing facilities, as if it's a virtual walkthrough, and we give them a virtual experience of how the client's environment is like. Even just their office space, where the engineers sit, where's the cafeteria. So they get the complete picture of the office space, and then how they, when they say, hey, I'm just going to go grab my a cup of coffee, can you wait for 5 minutes? So the guy can actually visualize. We go to that level of detail in making sure that the cultural things are really brought into the team. Architecturally, how people live. So we actually made a few videos, like a day in American's life,
right?
In Charlotte and New York and in different places, so that they see what's the difference between somebody living in Pennsylvania, like yourself, versus somebody living in Florida, like the weather differences and all the lifestyle differences. Somebody is dealing with snow. When someone says that, hey, we got a snowstorm, and then you got to be able to visualize what could be happening that day with them, and then converse with them in that kind of cultural things. So, those are all the things that we do in that 1 week of orientation to make sure that, the team actually gets to experience it, even though they don't live that sometimes. And then sometimes what we do is we actually bring some of our BIM captains to offshore, onshore locations, to the client's locations, so they get to, big clients, definitely, if they're engaging, more than 5 people or so, we actually, have a trip by one of our BIM captains, and then make sure that they understand or sometimes clients actually come down to our office, meet the team, and we definitely encourage a lot of personal interaction. There is nothing better than having a personal in-person interaction to understand the cultural stuff. And then obviously, like Thanksgiving, we actually explain to them, and then we celebrate here also in our office and make sure that they understand. So different countries have different festivals, and we make sure that we try to give them that taste of the culture.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think immersing themselves and understanding that culture is super important, right? Especially in offshore. I think what I like the most about it is that you guys are so organized and with this checklist, and culture is everything. Culture is what makes or breaks every company that's out there. I don't care what anybody says. The most successful companies that I see around the world, their culture is phenomenal. And then the products are next, right? And it's all about the people, and the fact that you're embracing that's amazing to me. So talk me through, and I know you have some more in your presentation if you want to continue on in that, but I definitely want to understand, if I'm a manufacturer, or maybe I'm a big design firm somewhere, I definitely want to understand, how do I start? How do I understand what the services cost? Where does all of that go? And you can address that now, or if that's later in your presentation, we can talk about it then.
No, I mean that's a good lead in terms of the question to the next step. Basically, how do you really put this into a practical sense, right? So you can walk through the presentation in a couple of slides that if you can bring up the presentation there. So if you look at what UBC provides as a service, there are 6 areas that we provide service. So we start off with drafting and architectural, which we really call as, it's a bundle between the bill of materials estimation and drafting and architectural. That's basically a pre-bid package service. So a customer that is ready to go on, when you got machines and you're really wanting to go and bid on some project, like a hotel project, or a multifamily project, or a single family project, whatever the project that you're trying to bid on. So they actually send these architectural drawings, and if they're already engineered, they send us the engineering drawings, and then we actually put together a bid package for the client. which will include a 3D model and all the detailed bill of materials. Not only just the framing material, we also give them the sheathing, the insulation, flooring, painting, roofing, whatever the materials that are out there that these guys are trying to bid on. We actually give them a complete list of all those materials out of the BIM model rather than, out of an Excel or a manual calculation, so that they have the accurate bill of materials, so that they're not going to go wrong with their bid, as long as they've got their prices correct. The bill of materials and bill of quantities is going to be accurate to the actual model that is imported from the architects or the engineers. So that's the initial first entry-level service that we give them. And we start off with very lowest amount of the money. It's like generally sometimes we even do it at $100 to $200 a bid package. If it's let's say a 2,000 square feet single family home that you're trying to bid on, it's going to be $100 to $200 kind of a package. So for a project that's probably you're going to spend, even if it is just framing and without the finishes, you're going to be spending $70,000-$80,000 on this on this bid. You're better off spending $200 and getting the accurate bill of materials. And on top of it, when you show a 3D model to a client, they really get impressed, and they really think that this guy really knows what he's quoting on, rather than saying that I sent him a bunch of architectural and these plans, and I don't know if the guy has really understood what I'm really asking for. There's no surprises. Are there going to be any surprises later on once the project kicks off? So those things are taken off the equation. So our clients really leverage that quite a bit. They bid every project that they bid on, and we do the model, and then we give them the bill of materials for them to do it. And then the third one is the permit sets. Once they bid on the project, they get the project. Sometimes the scope also includes a lot specific permit sets. Let's say a builder is building a 100-lot, single family project. He's got 5 different homes, home plans, and then the client is going to come and pick and choose. Let's walk down to the a roofing option, a facade option, and a garage option, and then then the client says that this is the final house that I want to buy, and that's the lot that that's when the engineer has to go back and create a lot specific permit set for that. So what we do is we solve it, and then we produce the lot specific permit set, and then the bill of materials for that specific building within 72 hours, because all of our the entire BIM model is already solved and then kept in the computer. So we just pick and choose, and then let the computer solve it, and then gives the lot specific permit set immediately. So it's like it's a very good service that the clients take advantage of. And then the modeling and detailing and engineering, that's the core of the business, right? So we do modeling and engineering, detailing if the building is already engineered. If it is not engineered, we also do engineering calculations, and we use various different tools that are comfortable for engineers on record. We work with several engineers on record in the US, and they review it, and then they stamp the plans and submit it for the permitting. And then after that, we go through modeling and detailing, which also includes MEP, HVAC, and all these other things. And that's where the real checklist process comes into the picture, because that's where you have to be really careful with constructability. Let's say site is only does not have storage facility, or does not have enough space to move a 40 feet long panel, so you have to break it apart into like 8 feet long wide panels. All of that discussion is going to be incorporated into the modeling and detailing, looking at the site conditions, and then the install crews. How experienced are they? Are they going to be doing RTA panels at the factory, or are they going to be doing the panels assembled in the factory and then take them, or are they doing modular? So how big the module has to be. And all of this constructability knowledge is going to be incorporated in the modeling and detailing space. And our prices start from 25 cents a square feet to 30 to 40 cents depending on the complexity. So it's also not, that's where you really get the advantage of the pricing. Generally it's anywhere between 70 cents to $1 locally, and it actually comes down to, that's where the 50% of the cost comes into the picture. And
25 cents a square feet. Is that, I just want to
Pardon?
clarify that. You said 25 cents a square feet?
Yeah, 25 cents to 30 cents a square feet. That's where, on average, yeah. If it's very complex, it's it could go up to 40 cents sometimes. But the other thing that we do is in the pricing, if there is repeat floors, we don't charge for the repeat floors. We only charge 20% for the repeat floors where there is minor, adjustments that need to be done, like MEP adjustments or window adjustments or door adjustments, whatever that needs to be done for that floor. It only takes 20% of the time, so we only charge for the actual time rather than the area of that particular floor. And then the other thing is when they take the bid package from us, because the base model is already created, we give the credit for that amount that they've already paid when they go for modeling and detailing, so that they're not double paying us. So we ensure that the pricing is is very fair to the clients, and then because we want to make sure that the clients are there for the long term, because the model that they have to look at it is they have to build a relationship with the team and take advantage of it for the longer term, not just for 1 or 2 projects. And then because the knowledge that they transfer to this team is going to be useful over a period of a few years, not just for 1 or 2 projects, because the more trained and more knowledgeable the team that is sitting in India about their company and their culture, it's going to be that seamless, and they can reap these benefits for a much longer period of time.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the fourth one is the training and onboarding. When someone gets a new machine and new software, they come to us, and we actually, they want to have in-house resources sometimes, and they don't want to outsource it to someone else. So we actually, train those resources, onboard them, and and tell them all the different challenges that they would need to take care of, like the constructability, all of that. That knowledge is the essential thing, and that they need to really use. And then the last one is we also provide project monitoring services for clients, including their invoicing, their billing, their account management, and also site project management with CC cameras. How many labor that came that day, and then interacting with their tradesmen. Coordinating their scheduling. Their let's say a flooring contractor has to come day after tomorrow. So we actually, there's a team that sits and interacts and coordinates all of that. So that's a huge saving for bigger companies, who have.
So you can monitor all of this overseas, and you can. How do you keep track of who's coming and who showed up and who didn't? Just using cameras?
Yeah, generally most.
Right?
Yeah, because most of the builders are already doing that. If you take the bigger contractors, they have CC cameras that are installed on site, and they have a software that they use to manage. And they pay probably like $70,000-$80,000 plus benefits, close to $100,000 for an individual to do that.
Sure.
And then we do it, less than $30,000 a year, fully loaded. So that's like a third of the cost, and that's how we can, we can monitor. We do it for quite a few clients, and that's one of the biggest areas that we're actually growing today, where we go in and take over the client from end to end, basically for, let the client really focus on manufacturing and delivering and, completing the project, rather than worrying about all these back office and BIM and all these other functions, so that they can just, squarely, focus on their core business. So yeah, that's how, those are the services that we bring to the table, and then that's how we help the clients.
How does it work when you're looking at panelization or modular construction, and you're dealing with third-party inspection agencies, right? Are you dealing with companies like NTA, PFS, companies like that? And is that something you deal with, or are you using a lot of the local companies' resources to manage those back and forth?
Yeah, today we use the local resources. We're trying to get our own resources who can do it for the clients. But as on today, we're not providing those inspection services
Right.
that deal with the interact with the government agencies or the engineers over there. We are using external consultants for now. But hopefully, in 2025, we're looking to bring on some of those resources, even the engineers on records. In the States, that especially for the United States market, so that we can offer that as a package service.
Well, hey, listen, even virtual third-party inspections are now happening, right? So the inspectors don't even need to show up to certify that something was built the way it needs to be built. So it is definitely coming. Well, Venkat,
there's a lot of drones.
What's that?
Yeah, there's a lot of drones also being used to go into into the building and then inspect it, and then take photographs and then log them into the. For one of the Australian clients, we do that actually.
Oh yeah.
They've actually got it. We operate the drones from here, and there's somebody that just turns them on, and then we just operate them, and then take photographs, and then load them into the software, and then everything is actually logged, and then somebody goes in and checks all of that, and then signs off.
It's amazing, right? I mean, listen, they're even flying drones overseas in the military. People sitting here, right? It's becoming a very scary world in some instances, but it's fun. It's starting to come about. Well, listen, we're just about out of time. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to make sure people know about UBC BIM? I know there's still a little bit left on the presentation, but this is your chance. If we didn't cover it, now's the time.
I think we've covered quite a bit. What I would tell the audience is, when you're really looking for, taking advantage of this offshore services and then the cost benefits, don't look at it just from a cost perspective. Look at it from a strategic investment, because you're in this business for a long term, in this offsite construction business, and you have to invest in a strategic partner. Look at the offshore service provider also as a strategic partner, rather than only a cost saving kind of avenue. This is, the more you invest in making sure that they understand your process and your culture and the way you do your things, that much more you'll be successful, and you can actually leverage that investment for a much longer period of time. Because we tell our clients, don't look at it, for the first 1 or 2 projects as, it's taking longer time, and it's not as fast as we anticipated and all. But from the 3rd or 4th project onwards, it becomes so seamless that you'll not even feel that it's an offshore service company that is providing the service. So make sure that you don't look at it from a short-term gain perspective. Look at it from a long-term perspective, and scrutinize those companies for those processes. Do they have those processes in place? If they have those processes, it'll be successful. If they don't have it, then you're really going to be investing your time and money and trying to get something done, and then you'll be frustrated towards the end, and then you'll be missing out in the end. It's really important for you to choose a right offshore partner to really get take advantage of it.
Yeah, 100%. Venkat, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to put your website back up on the screen here. So listen, if you're looking to grow your team and you just don't have the money, the budget, ever-growing costs, everything's going up, this is just another option for you, with a team of people that have been doing it for several years now, and that I've run across on different occasions at our events. So Venkat, thank you so much. Everybody go to ubc.bim. Is that right? ubcbim.com, ubcbim.com. Or, hey, listen, just reach out to Venkat on LinkedIn. I'm sure he will gladly take a message from you. Venkat, thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Dave and Jennifer, for giving me the opportunity. It's been a long overdue, and I've been trying to get on this show. It's really a privilege to be on this show. And then when Dave said that, hey, there is an opportunity, there could be an opportunity if you can share, there could be a lot of clients that are looking for this offshore service, and what would be the things that they really need to be looking at to be successful at this. So I think it's really hopefully this will be a good educational session for a lot of folks out there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, listen, if you're leading the way for me, then I think anybody's going to have success with you, Venkat. Thank you so much. And for the rest of you out there, guess what? It's Monday. That's right. We still, at least here in the United States, have 4.5 days to continue to build it better. Reach out to Venkat and his team at ubcbim.com. I'm Dave Cooper. Thank these existing sponsors and these future sponsors that I'm getting ready to show you right now. Venkat, I'll come back to you after the show. Everybody else, happy Monday.
Thank you.
What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.